counting sheep when you're trying to sleep, being fair when there's something to share, when you know how much money you owe. That's mathematics.
Welcome to our lesson on adding and subtracting fractions and mixed numbers. In this lesson, we're going to look at the basics of adding and subtracting fractions that have the same denominator, then consider how to work with fractions that have different denominators. When we add or subtract fractions, the denominator stays the same, and we add or subtract the numerators. For example, let's consider 4/5 plus 2/5. 4 plus 2 is 6, so we have 6/5. Notice we're still working with fifths, we just combined 4 of them with 2 more of them. Finally, we can rewrite this as a mixed number 1 1/5. Let's try a subtraction problem now. 1 7/8 minus 3/8. Notice I crossed out the 3/8 to show that I'm subtracting them. When we're dealing with mixed numbers, we can look at the whole numbers and the fractions separately. In this case, when we subtract the fractions, the minus 3/8 cancels out 3/8 of the 7/8, and 7/8 minus 3/8 is 4/8. Finally, the whole numbers are 1 and 0, so 1 minus 0 is 1. Now we know our answer is 1 4/8, which reduces to 1 1/2. Now let's try one where the denominators are not the same, 3/4 minus 2/3. If we try to take away 2/3 from 3/4, we have this little portion left, but we don't know how much that is. What we need to do is convert both fractions so they have the same denominators by multiplying by some form of the identity 1. What I mean here is that we're going to multiply by a fraction that equals 1, like 2/2 or 3/3 or 10/10. This will change the denominator without changing the value of the fraction. The simplest way to find which denominator to use is to keep finding multiples of the larger denominator until you find one that the smaller denominator will go into evenly. Knowing your multiplication tables well really helps with this. Here are the first few multiples of 4. 4, 8, 12, 16, and 20. 3 does not go into 4 or 8 evenly, but it does go into 12, so we can stop there. This means we need to convert both fractions into 12ths in order to subtract them. To do this, I'm going to use 3/3 to convert 3/4 into 12ths because 4 times 3 is 12. I will use 4/4 to convert 2/3 into 12ths because 3 times 4 is 12. When I multiply 3/4 by 3/3, I get 9/12. 3 times 3 is 9, and 4 times 3 is 12. Notice though, it's the same value. When I multiply 2/3 by 4/4, I get 8/12. 2 times 4 is 8, and 3 times 4 is 12. Notice again, it's the same value. In both cases, we've simply cut these values into smaller pieces, so the pieces are the same size, 12ths. Now that I'm subtracting things that are alike, I know that 9/12 minus 8/12 is 1/12, and that's our final answer. For our final example, let's look at a problem that has one extra element of complexity, 3 5/12 minus 7/10. As we did before, we are going to have to multiply each fraction by some form of 1 in order to get a common denominator. But what should that denominator be? If we look at the multiples of 12, the larger denominator, we can see that 10 does not go into 12, 24, 36, or 48, but it does go into 60. Since 60 is 12 times 5, we need to multiply by 5 over 5 to convert the 5/12. Now 3 and 5/12 is rewritten as 3 and 25/60. 5 times 5 is 25, 12 times 5 is 60. Since 60 is 10 times 6, we're going to multiply 7/10 by 6 over 6. This will enable us to rewrite 7/10 as 42/60. 7 times 6 is 42, and again 10 times 6 is 60. Here's where the extra level of complexity occurs. If we try to subtract at this point, 3 minus 0 is 3, and 25 minus 42 is a negative 17. So we would get a positive 3 with a minus 17/60. Now, while it is possible to get our final answer from here, it's actually easier if we do this problem another way. Since 1 is 60 over 60, we could take 1 from the 3 and combine it with the 25/60 in order to get a positive numerator for our fraction. 25 plus 60 is 85, so we could now have the problem written as 2 and 85/60 minus 42/60. Notice I took 1 from the 3 to make the 85/60. So now we only have 2 left as the whole number portion of the mixed number. We can finally complete the subtraction problem now, and since 85 minus 42 equals 43, our answer is 2 and 43/60.